Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. The 2016 Carnival celebrations wrapped up over the weekend. The Carnival parades, of course, both the Children's Parade on Friday and the Adults Parade on Saturday were the highlights of the festivities. TV2 brought you live coverage on Channel 2 and via live stream online. But if you missed it, News 2's April Night has the sights and sounds.
Rain couldn't stop the parade on Saturday. In spite of strong morning showers, Carnival revelers paraded down Main Street in an explosion of sound and color. Jam band member Ambrose Schmidt led the way as Grand Marshal, with the troops and floops behind him playing popular jam band tunes, including Showtime.
We always say in St. Thomas, rain can't stop the carnival, right?
That's right.
So I'd like to welcome everyone on this very enjoyable day. There's a lot of fighting going on today, so rain or shine, we still coming up the road. All shit, up the road.
Carnival royalty also waved to the crowds, resplendent in their gowns and crystal crowns. Parade participants put on quite a show. Troops, floops, majorettes, and mocha jumbies wucked it up in magnificent costumes. The day before, on Friday, the Children's Parade was equally enthusiastic. Denise Henley danced her way down the street as parade marshal.
I can't say that I'm finished, but I will say I will slow up a little bit. But enjoy the rest, and have fun, and play it safe.
And in spite of a noticeably thinner crowd, all the kids still performed with youth and vigor, proving to one and all there's nothing more fabulous than Carnival on St. Thomas. Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
It was indeed a noticeably sparse audience during the Children's Parade on Friday, and a large part of it was because the horse races were being held at around the same time. And according to Carnival Committee Chairman Kenneth Blake, he did try to speak to the organizers of the horse races to arrange a different time for that sporting event so the community would not have to choose. He says he's open to any suggestions from the community for next year's carnival to make sure the community can come out to see the children's efforts. The Carnival Village, named Showtime HQ, honored Jam Band for a little over a week. The Fort Christian parking lot came alive with many different bands and performers, including Crossfire from Barbados, Destra of Trinidad, Nayora of St. Thomas, Pressure and Itana. Rock City's VI's Rock City, they made a splash by introducing Carrie Hilson as a guest performer, the international artist, and Pressure also introduced a young performer. Both took the audience by surprise.
Like they're my brothers. Good dudes. Good dudes. Y'all give it up. Because of them, I have the best impression of where you guys are from, where you guys live. Because of them. Good dudes. Good dudes.
And the audience did indeed enjoy all of the music. Destra closing out the village there. Now, the Fort Christian parking lot is expected to be open for public parking on Monday, May 9th at 7 a.m. The Fort Christian parking lot was officially closed for Carnival as of 6 p.m. on Sunday, April 11th. Therefore, parking may remain a little tight in the next few days as the village is transformed back into the parking lot. Please drive cautiously around the area, as many trucks are traveling to and from the area. Well, here are your winners for both parades. In the Children's Parade, we have the St. Thomas Majorettes, who won top honors for Best Majorette Group. In the Troops category, the winner was Joseph Gomez School's Showstoppers. In the Floop category, the Sun Children presented Hot, Hot, Hot. They won the top spot. And the St. Thomas Tropical Masqueraders were declared winners in the Traditional category. Meanwhile, in the Adults Parade, the Sebastian Majorettes took the top spot in the category. The Eagles Carnival Troupe, with their presentation, Tribute to Our Cultures, they won in the troop under 50. Among troops between 50 and 100, the Gypsy Carnival Troupe won with their presentation Showtime Spectacular. And for troops over 100, the Party Hardy Carnival Troupe, they took home the trophy. Elsco and Associates Carnival Troupe, meanwhile, won the Floop category with De Bungalow on the Snow presentation. Best Traditional presentation went to Shaka Zulu. Road March, of course, went to Spectrum Band with their song, I Don't Care. Congratulations to all of our Carnival Parade winners. Now, Juve began early Thursday morning on the waterfront. Young and old came out, some dressed and some not so dressed in the Carnival tradition that gives many the opportunity to become creative with their clothing. It drew many bands, such as Avengers, Cool Session Band, DFS Entertainment, Nikki Brooks, Digital Band, Pan in Motion, and Poison. There were also some Juve troops, such as Carnival Kaleidoscope, Juve Nation, SKN Entertainment, VI Tilmanen, VI Feathers, and Supreme Team, Juve Troop Wet Feathers Inc. Now, lots of water was seen sprayed from huge hoses, as well as colorful paint. The Virgin Islands Police Department, meanwhile, was out in full force during the PF Carnival, and some officers were even brought over from St. Croix on Juve Day, but quite a few police officers did not report to work last week, Thursday. The VIPD commissioner called it a strike, but the police union involved stated that police officers needed rest from the long and grueling carnival hours. News 2's April Knight has more.
The 2016 Juve went without major incident on Thursday, but perhaps the biggest news of all was quite a number of police officers coming down with what some are calling the blue flu. Late last week, the Virgin Islands Police Department filed for a temporary restraining order against the Policemen's Benevolent Association after a number of union members called in sick on Juve Day. But according to PBA officials, with the long hours the officers have been working this carnival, this is not surprising.
Some of them work tirelessly between 3, 4 days, 5 days of 16 hours of work.
Because of carnival?
Because of carnival and because of it being so short-staffed.
You're supposed to work 8 hours, or you're scheduled to work 8 hours, but sometimes you have to go to completion. Sometimes that's 12 hours, sometimes it's 14 hours.
VIPD Commissioner Delroy Richards condemned the act, calling it a job action that placed the community in danger.
I can tell you that the Police Benevolent Association did not sanction that job action.
Nonetheless, at the root of the problem could be a familiar issue: the government demanding that members of the police union give up years' worth of retro in exchange for salary raises. Meanwhile, these police officers insist that in spite of the grueling working conditions, they remain committed to the safety of the community.
Everyone that I know for the Virgin Islands Police Department, we work tirelessly for the community that we serve. We do our very best, like what the President said, to do with what little that we have. And we will never stop, even after all what has been put upon us.
Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
And we will have more on the issue of retroactive pay among police officers in a later newscast. We will also keep you updated on any developments in upcoming negotiations between the police unions and the administration. On Sunday, May 1st, at roughly 2:37 a.m., the 911 emergency call center received a report. Meanwhile, after 3 black male individuals were shot, the first male, later identified as 25-year-old Sedale Gabriel of Savannah, was transported to the Roy Lesher Schneider Medical Center. Police say he was found shot multiple times about the body. The second male, who has not yet been identified, received multiple gunshots to the body and was transported by a private vehicle to the hospital. The third male is a 13-year-old minor who received a single gunshot wound to the left arm and also transported to the hospital by his parents, where he received treatment for his injuries. Preliminary investigation revealed Sadale Gabriel, the unidentified black male, and the minor were all in the area behind of Carnival Boots number 33 and 1 when the shots were fired. While exiting the restroom, Gabriel received multiple gunshot wounds about the body, and the 13-year-old minor was shot in the left arm at approximately 4:45 a.m. Sadale Gabriel succumbed to his injuries. Please contact the task force at 340-774-2211, extensions 5617 and 5554 for any information you can assist, or you can also call 911, Crime Stoppers VI, the Commissioner's Office at 340-715-5506, and the Chief's Office at 340-715-5548, again, if you have any information. Police say an off-duty officer reported that he was robbed. He explained that while traveling along Princess Gata, he stopped at the stoplight near the Department of Labor. He was approached by a male on a bike wearing all black and a black ski mask, pointing a black handgun to his face. The officer then stated that the suspect told him to give it up and attempted to pull his chain off of his neck, but was unable to remove it. The officer said he then removed the chain and complied. The suspect then began to flee, while the officer exited his vehicle and pursued the suspect. After identifying himself as an officer, the suspect then turned and pointed the gun at the officer. The officer then took cover behind his vehicle and fired several shots towards the suspect. The suspect was shot in the left leg and received medical treatment after being transported to the hospital. The suspect has been identified as Vernon Rollins, 26, of Solberg, and is still receiving medical treatment. Now, the VIPD say a fair and unbiased investigation is ongoing and released this statement, expressing empathy and pleased that no other individuals were injured. They said, "We express sincere concern for our officers, as using force that causes serious injuries remains an unfavorable task. However, the department continues to have no lenience for violence in our community and will continue to keep our officers and innocent members of our community safe and protected from those who choose to disobey the law." Count on 2 to keep you updated. And keeping our eye on the economy, let's take a look at the stock market watch at the New York Stock Exchange. According to the numbers there, we can see everything up. The Dow up 117, NASDAQ up 42, and S&P also up. Coming up on News 2, the governor appended his approval of Bill number 31-0330, which is to allow the Virgin Islands Department of Agriculture, UVI, and other selected universities to cultivate industrial hemp for research purposes here in the territory. More coming up. Welcome back. The governor appended his approval of Bill number 31-0330, and that's to allow the Virgin Islands Department of Agriculture, the University of the Virgin Islands, and other selected universities to cultivate industrial hemp for research purposes here in the territory. The measure also appropriates $75,000 to the Department of Agriculture for this purpose. He said this measure will permit research into the commercial hemp business to move forward and help prepare the territory for the anticipated congressional approval of hemp cultivation. Meanwhile, Senator Nelson, Terrence Positive Nelson, said he is pleased that the governor signed the industrial hemp bill into law, Act 7868, authorizing cultivation of hemp for research and development. He said this gives the go-ahead to the University of the Virgin Islands and the Department of Ag to cultivate hemp for research and product development. He thanked his colleagues and commended the governor. He also reminds the community of his next peace planning meeting that's taking place on Tuesday. Meanwhile, Governor Mapp also signed a measure into law that removes the party symbol from election ballots. Symbol voting has been the source of much controversy over the years, and the chaos rose to new heights during the 2014 gubernatorial election. The governor has also vetoed what he called a confusing effort to make it unlawful for an elected official to vote outside the territory. The measure would require a senator, governor, or lieutenant governor to immediately forfeit their office if they are found guilty of voting in any election outside the territory. Well, the Virgin Islands Democratic Party reminds interested Democrats that Tuesday, May 3rd, 2016 is the deadline for the submission of the statements of candidacy to become an at-large delegate or an alternate. Statement of candidacy forms are available on the VI Democrats Yahoo chat group, the U.S. Virgin Islands Democratic Party Facebook page, or any Democratic officer. Statements must be completed and returned on or before May 3rd via postal service, and here's the P.O. Box address. P.O. Box 5577, Christiansted, St. Croix, 00823-5577. Candidates will pledge support to presidential candidates Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, or uncommitted. Dems are actively preparing for its caucus on Saturday, June 4th, 2016. Kanika John, in tourism news, is the new director of marketing for the United States Virgin Islands Department of Tourism, and Francis Williams Augustin has been given new responsibility as director of visitor experience for St. Croix. In making the announcements, Commissioner of Tourism Beverly Nicholson Doty said that Kanika John has been an integral member of the tourism team, taking on increased responsibility in and marketing as well as other areas, while Francis Williams Augustin, a former American Airlines career veteran and manager, has invigorated our department with a level of creativity and energy that has helped to elevate our visitor experience efforts. Congratulations to the two. Well, looking across the seas, a U.S. cruise ship docked in Havana on Monday morning, the first time that's happened in nearly 40 years. With its horns blaring and salsa music blasting from speakers, it was a celebration because about 700 passengers were on the first cruise in decades to travel from the United States to Cuba. It docked Monday in Havana. The ship's arrival marks the first stop on a historic 7-day voyage that signals closer ties between the United States and its communist-run neighbor. The trip represents the latest step in the process, but the voyage of the Adonia, a vessel operated by Fathom Travel and owned by Miami-based Carnival Corp, was a source of controversy. At first, the Cuban government forbade anybody born in Cuba from traveling on the cruise, citing national security concerns. Cuban Americans in Miami filed a federal lawsuit to stop the cruise because of that restriction. Just 2 weeks before the Adonia was scheduled to depart Port Miami, the Cuban government dropped the restriction on Cuban-born passengers, clearing the way for the historic sail. The U.S. still maintains an economic embargo on Cuba that forbids U.S. citizens from traveling there purely as tourists. Well, a fleet of 4 red wagons are rolling around the Juan Luis Hospital to different areas of the medical center that will serve pediatric patients. Children who have to stay overnight will now enjoy this new way to get around. Juan Luis Hospital deployed a fleet of 4 red wagons on Wednesday to different areas of the medical center that will serve the young patients. It is not uncommon to see these. In fact, they are used nationwide to help provide a kid-friendly environment. The radio flyer wagons were deployed on Wednesday. They will be used to transport children who are being admitted, who are going to have procedures or x-rays done, and to transport them to and from their rooms. Well, last Wednesday, a groundbreaking ceremony was held at the top of the hill near the traffic light adjacent to the National Guard Armory on the East End St. Thomas. It was for a pedestrian shelter. Many have partnered for this, including the East End Rotary, Kappa, Public Works, ProSolar, ColorMax, and residents of the East End location. This shelter, they say, will serve seniors and children. It will also provide much-needed light in the evening hours. Kappa is holding a community meeting tonight at the Paradise Covenant Ministry, and that began from about 6:30 p.m., in which issues and solutions like these are discussed, as well as crime, shootings, and gun-related incidents. That's all being discussed. Well, the inclement weather of Saturday night and Sunday morning across St. Croix had led to pockets of areas that experienced electrical service interruptions. Crews had been assigned to following areas like Estate Work and Rest St. Croix, Estate St. John, La Valley, and the Rust Up Twist, Jolly Hill, Brooks Hill, Morning Star, Golden Grove, and New Works, Estate Bethlehem Village. Crews were also in Peters Rest, replacing a defective transformer, and on Queen Street in Frederiksted, replacing a pole that was damaged in a morning vehicular accident, they say. Well, meanwhile, WAPA crews will continue to address all the service calls until full power restoration has been achieved, and hopefully by now it's all done. And the wet weather continued over the weekend on St. Thomas. It did not stop Carnival on St. Thomas. But on St. Croix, the following areas had been reported as flooded to Vitima's 911 Emergency Communications Center: Sunny Isles intersection on Melvin Evans Highway, vicinity of the Ricardo Richards Elementary School on the Melvin Evans Highway. Also the vicinity of Hovenza, and that was under flash flood watch through 8 p.m. Some showers and scattered thunderstorms were expected today. How long can we expect this wet weather? Well, your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next. We'll be right back.